Your future, it starts with a clear picture of who you want to become. You probably heard the phrase before, or something to the effect of, if you can see it in your mind and believe it, you can achieve it. Heard something like that before? I know that the guy, Napoleon Hill, said that way more eloquently in the book Think and Grow Rich. But visualization, we're going to talk about that today. It's just much more than imagining. And I really got into I have a very imaginative mind, but I really didn't know how to use it and leverage it to reach the goals that I wanted, because I was very good at coming up with an idea and then figuring out all the ways that it wouldn't work, right? But if you use this mental tool so that it aligns, because it will align your focus, your actions, and your goals. Put those together, because if you've ever felt stuck, you've felt stuck before, right? Or even overwhelmed, especially on your health and fitness journey. This could be the missing link. Creating that vivid that image in your mind of success. It helps you build momentum and really stay motivated and stay focused. So before we dive into that today, I do want to thank you for being a part of this episode. And when you're ready and you really want to take things to new heights to reach your goals, because tell me what your goal is and I'll tell you how to get there. Really, head over to talktoperry.com. That's where my calendar is wide open for podcast listeners and podcast viewers, if you're catching this on YouTube, to really help you gain clarity on your goals. So let's break this down today. Visualization. It's not just about thinking positively. And I think a lot of times we put things into categories, or we think vision board, cut things out of a magazine, pop it up there, and then we kind of look at the board and maybe use it in the positive way that it's intended, or maybe look at it and come up with all the reasons why we can't achieve the things that are in the magazines because they're airbrushed and all this. We can make up a big story, right? But in our minds, we can really create specific, detailed visions and versions of the future self that you desire. And when I say future self, I want to make sure that we aren't thinking of that as, I'm always keeping this person out into the future. Okay. We have an ideal person that we aspire to be, health, fitness, wealth, relationships, all this stuff. We kind of have that ideal version. But instead of keeping that out there in a someday maybe world, we can start looking at the attributes, the characteristics, the habits, the behaviors, the thinking, the mindset of that ideal version, and start being that right now instead of having to wait. It's really cool. So, take a moment here. I know if you're driving in the car, but if you're watching, you're probably not driving here. You're probably sitting in attention here. But just imagine yourself 6 months from now. What does your ideal health look like? What does your ideal healthy version of you look like? Are you feeling stronger? Are you moving with more energy? Are you showing up for your workouts with more confidence? Are you choosing healthier food options? What does that look like? So here's why why I say, what does that look like, and why visualization works. When you create a mental picture, because that's where you start, you're activating the same neural pathways that you'd use where if you're physically performing that action. It's like rehearsing your success. You've probably known performers and athletes, others out there that say they use visualization, and when they accomplish the feat, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I bet you never saw that coming," and they're like, "No, I did. I saw it in my mind over and over and over and over. I replayed it. I customized it. I really got clear on what that was. I've done this bit a lot, so it just was natural to have that come into the physical form." See, your brain starts to believe this future is possible, and that belief, and when I say that, You want to make sure that you become aware of when you start to try to counteract it and say, oh, that's not possible because of all these things. Look around you. You're saying you're healthy and fit, yet you've got the big stomach and you're overweight and you're overwhelmed. You can't do that. You've got to be aware of that thinking and say, you know what? That's not where I'm going. Where I'm going, we're healthy, we're fit, we're lean, we're, whatever the goals are for you. Because that belief, it's going to impact your daily decisions. So if you're healthy, fit, lean, whatever it is, you're making decisions when you're at the grocery store. You're putting the healthier items in your cart. You're showing up for your workouts, and you're not trying to negotiate with yourself to say, well, maybe I'll skip this one, or maybe I'll just do it on the weekends, or you won't be doing that because that's not your future self doesn't do that, so you don't do that now. Because if you start doing that now, the future version will always stay out there in the future. Hopefully that made sense. So how do you put this into practice? Well, first, even just with visualization, just set aside 5 minutes, okay? Closing your eyes, picturing, on that screen of your mind, the outcome that you're working toward. And not some sort of fantasy world where it's like, oh my gosh, I'll never become that imaginary character. You're bringing in all the 5 senses because this is you. What are you wearing? What are you doing? How do you feel? What sort of things are you fueling your brain, your body with? What actions, what habits, what are things, what's your decision making like? It's not just about seeing, it's really embodying and truly experiencing that vision in your mind. Okay? Then you ask yourself, what are the small actions that I can take today that align with that vision? Now, when I was first starting, I was out of shape, overweight, overwhelmed, and I aspired to be healthy, fit, lean, more energy, more focused, more productive. And I said, what can I start doing today? So this is a big shift for me. What can I do today? And I'm like, well, I just drove an hour commute back home after my long teaching job. And all the way there, I was negotiating myself why I needed to take the day off or, maybe do doubles the next day. I'm like, no, the version of me is somebody who doesn't skip workouts. I'm a person who shows up for my exercise. Now, some people would have said, well, that's just being so obsessive about exercise. No, I hadn't exercised regularly for a long time. If that's what my ideal healthy fit self does, I'm doing that now. Now, I might not be able to do pull-ups and crunches and all these things and lift heavy weights yet. I use that word yet. But I can show up, get started, get in motion, dispel all the mindset stuff and all of the things that I was trying to talk myself out of it, because I didn't talk myself out of it. My future self doesn't do that. Why am I doing that now? Right? I don't need to have the exact results that my future self has. I just need to adopt the habits. So I shifted my grocery shopping. I did a total kitchen makeover and got rid of all the tempting junk that would work against me and brought in all the healthy stuff. Okay? Started showing up for my workouts. And just one day at a time, because that's all you can do, show up one day at a time, I watched the changes happen. But I didn't see them like, I couldn't step on the scale next day and be like, oh my gosh, look at me, I dropped 10 pounds. This took consistency. This took time. It took time to germinate. But in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and I took pictures every 30 days, over the 90-day span, a half a year span, 1 year span, big changes. My decision making was different. I was clear. I was more productive, more energetic. I was being that person of my future self, and my future self started coming into fruition here. So hopefully that's what the thing, do those things within your vision. You can start being that. Now, I had a tough time. It was kind of like a little bit abstract for me to say, here's what my body shape will look like. Here's how I'll be in energy. I didn't know, but I just knew if I could get into that feeling of kind of what I wanted. Am I sleeping better? Am I more energized? Am my choices healthier? Just moving about my day with ease. So what can you do today to take care of your body? like I said, consistency is really key. The more you revisit the mental picture, because it's really easy to listen to a podcast, say, yeah, I'll visualize, and then you do it for a day, and then you don't get back to it. Consistency. The more you revisit that in your mental, the picture of your mind, the stronger your belief becomes. That belief drives your actions. And of course, you are going to have some obstacles. Let's talk about those for a second. Doubts, distractions, they're going to show up. That's normal. That's where a lot of people give in to the doubts, the fears, the worries, the distractions, and then go and say, well, I can't do that. Stuff doesn't work. No, you're giving in to the obstacle. Just note the obstacles are there. It's totally normal to say, you know what? Is this the right thing to do? Am I showing up? Am I going to get the results? And putting it into what ifs. But that's the beauty of visualization. It trains your mind to refocus. So whenever the doubt creeps in, you return to, the clear picture. Yeah, there's the doubt and the worry and the fears and I got all this stuff. And I'm still going after my goal up here anyway. You think of the two guys that went to the top of Mount Everest, failed the first few times, but every time it was just like, let's just get to the next base camp. Let's try again. Let's just get to the next base camp. The obstacles are still going to happen and they're different every single time, but they made it. So what's just to the next base camp for you toward your goal, right? And I can totally help you be clear on this. Get over to talktoperry.com, book a free call. We'll map out the steps to really turning your vision into a reality. So visualization, it's a practice, okay? It's one of these strong tools in your toolbox. Should you use it? It's easy to have a toolbox, lay the tools there and never use it for anything. But when you're using it, it's like, hey, for a goal, I'm going to use this tool and I'm going to make things happen this coming year. So like I said, where are you at in the next 6 months? Not a wish, hope, and prayer. You can use that, but also here's some clear, tangible things that you can do on a daily basis, maybe a couple times a day, to get you there faster. Because every time you picture yourself, you're creating a mental alignment with your goals. You're aligning that alignment there. It's shaping your choices, your actions, and your progress. Especially if you're aware of the obstacles that you're navigating around. You don't pay attention to an obstacle to go into. You just figure out the way to navigate around them. So take a few minutes today. Create that vision. Picture the energy, the confidence, the strength that you're working toward, and keep it clear and let it guide you forward. The person that you see in your mind is the person you're becoming. And that's so, so awesome. So just know you can choose to use your power and take control and use tools like this, or you can let the obstacles and the excuses and rationalization and negotiation and putting things off and do the procrastination thing. You can let that control you and drain your power. It really boils down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning, growing, taking action, moving forward, using tools like this. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You can drop those down in the comments. And as always, I want to say thank you. You rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to UpsideDownFit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend. If you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.